I'm back working on the lofted bed project, and in this portion I'm going to need a 2x6 board. So while I face glue two 1x6s together, let me walk you through what else I will be doing. In part 2 of this project, I will be assembling the footer using two of the legs that I built in part 1 of the video series. To watch that video and access the entire playlist for the project, you can check out the link in the description below. In each of the legs, I created a 1.5-inch notch that the side rails can slide into. I may have overcomplicated this, but in order to keep a flush corner that the mattress can set in and still be able to bolt the side rail into the leg, I will be notching out the inner portion of the footer legs to accept the board that will be used as a support between the two legs. This will allow me to slide in the side rail, bolt it down, and then install the board that connects the two footer legs together. After the glue was dry, I used this electric hand plane to smooth down the edge of the board. It worked out alright, but in the end I think it would have been easier to just run it through the table saw to smooth it out. Once the edges were smoothed out, I noticed a few small gaps in the glue. They probably would have been just fine if I left them alone, but I decided to fill them with a mixture of glue and sawdust. After a bit of sanding, the gaps disappeared. Next, I cut the cross support to its final length of 41 1/4 inches and then drilled 3 holes in each end that would be used to attach it to the legs. I first drilled smaller pilot holes and then went back and drilled them to the size I needed. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future projects. Next, it was time to cut the inner notch that would hold the cross support between the two footer legs. I 3D printed a jig so that I could use a pattern bit in my router, but you could easily make this jig from wood as well. I think this would have worked out better if I had trusted my method more, but in the end I left too much room for error and had to chisel and sand away a lot. It turned out to be a lot of work cleaning it up and didn't fit as tightly as I would have liked, but I'll chalk it up to a learning experience and next time make my jig more precise. Now it was time to install the threaded inserts into the legs that the cross support will attach to. I used the holes I made previously in the cross support to drill 3 pilot holes into the inner edge of the legs. I then returned with a bigger bit and widened the holes so that they could accept the threaded inserts. Finally, I screwed the 3 threaded inserts into each leg. Lastly, though it wasn't in my initial design, I decided to add a 1x6 lower cross support to the foot of the bed. I measured, cut the board to length at the miter saw, and then drilled 3 pocket holes on each end using my Craig pocket hole jig. I used some spacers to position the board in the middle of each leg, clamped them in place with the help of my Duratec positioning squares, and drove in the pocket hole screws. And finally, I just need to assemble the footer by inserting the cross support and installing the 6 screws. Overall, the footer turned out well and feels plenty sturdy. Once the other pieces of the project are complete, I will take care of sanding down to the final grit and applying a finish. I'd like to thank you for following along and supporting my project. Down in the description you can find a link to the playlist of all the pieces of this project as I complete them. Feel free to check out that playlist or any of my other project videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next project.